like, I was thinking about that combo while reading Manhwa, you know? Like, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I couldn't focus on what I was reading, because I was like, no, but I feel like there has to be a way to get 5 vape charge attacks on Candace. Like, surely. Surely I can use the fact that we're starting with a little bit of Hydro, and I can get a charge attack in, get the vape, then dash N1, but because they all share ICD, then neither the dash nor the N1 are going to apply pyro on the enemy that doesn't have an aura anymore, so now Candace's proc is going to apply Hydro, and then we can start charge attacking again, and it's going to keep vaping. And then we can do the exact same thing once our time roll resets. After 3 additional charge attacks, we can again dash normal attack to reapply the Hydro, and then get another 2 vapes. See, how am I supposed to focus on reading when I'm thinking about that? How? Okay, let me go to the Vermilion domain, because there's something deeply wrong with me. Okay, chat, I want to show you something, okay? So the first thing I want to show you is what's, like, the default way that things will happen in a team like this. Okay, so if you do this, right, and you do, wait, what the fuck is going on here? Right, you do this, as you can see, we're only overloading every other cookie hit, right? We get overload, we get nothing. We get overload, we get nothing, right? That's like the default way that it works. However, you can cheat. Overloaded, 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 overloaded. Right? You can cheat and get an overload on every hit. Right? How? Let me explain. So, when there are multiple enemies together, right? So this is your Abyss Chamber, alright? And you've got your Kuki. I guess, wait, no. You've got enemies. We've got one here and one here for now, right? But I guess, one here for now, right? The AoE for Overload is about this big, right? So if you trigger Overload on this one, it'll deal damage to both. And if you trigger Overload on this one, it'll also deal damage to both, right? But if you trigger Overload on both of them at the same time, Overload Global ICD kicks in, and it only deals 1 instance of Overload damage to each of them. However, with Kuki, you can apply Electro every other hit. What that means is that if the first hit applies Electro only to this guy, you'll deal Overload damage to both of them. And if the second hit applies Electro only to this guy, you'll deal Overload damage to both of them again. And so what you want to do is you want to, on Kuki, cast your E when you're here, so that it hits one of them but not the other, and then walk here so that it starts hitting both. And that's going to make it so that your Electro application alternates between the 2 enemies. Now with Kuki, as long as the enemies aren't enemies that get knocked back by Overload, this is pretty easy to do, right? So why am I mentioning this in the context of talking about Yumemizuki Mizuki? Well, as it turns out, it's a similar thing with Yumemizuki Mizuki. However, boy is it more cringe with Yumemizuki Mizuki. Why, though? Well, first, Swirl, unlike Overload, doesn't have the same sort of global ICD bullshit. You're not capped at 1 instance of Overload every 0.5 seconds, you're capped at 2 instances of Swirl. Because of that, it means that if there's 2 enemies close together, you're not losing out on damage based on overlapping overloads, or in this case, overlapping swirls. You'll only start losing damage to that overlap once you start adding a third enemy. So, how can you make use of this trick to increase Yumemizuki Mizuki's damage? It's the same idea. You make sure that your first instance of animal application is only hitting either one or two of the enemies, and then you make it so that your instances of animal application are hitting all of them. But there's a problem with that, alright? When it comes to Kuki, it's really easy to, like, only hit one of the two enemies because your AoE is centered around you, so all you have to do is walk here, so that your AoE will hit one of them. Yumemizuki Mizuki's AoE, though, is centered around the enemy. Like this. And so, in order to manage to make this work, what you'd have to do is you'd have to wait until the enemy moves and starts here. Then you cast your E, start dealing damage, and then the enemy moves closer. In other words, this is fake as fuck. And I wish it wasn't. Unironically, this is a situation where Yumemizuki Mizuki's output might be nerfed by her AoE, by Yumemizuki Mizuki's AoE being too big. I wanna take a little while to properly think about the value of the Chronicled Wish for the 4 stars. So let's do a tier list of 4-star characters based on how good it is for them to be on a banner. Like, how happy are you seeing this character on a banner? Versus, like, the average. Right? So... Yeah... I want to see, like, what it visually looks like when you compare the overall 4-star distribution to the Leia 4-star distribution. Lanyan is not going to this banner. That's sad, actually. And then we just remove everyone who's not on this banner. I'd say it's pretty average, then. Just looking at the 4 stars, this banner is pretty average. And we've already talked about how bad the 5 stars are. Yeah, that's a very good point. Quack67LW. The best Leia 4-star units are available in the Paimon's Bargain Shop. Which means that while they are very good units to have on a banner, it's a lot more likely that you already have the relevant constellations for them. Gumming isn't. The thing about Gumming is that he's good, but he's also not. Like, Gumming has some pretty major issues. I would not recommend Gumming when it comes to, like, optimal stuff for anyone. Because pretty much the only situation where, like, Gumming is actually competitive with the good carries is if you have so many fucking things going for you that you probably have another good carry that could take his place anyways, right? And, like, I'm not saying there's no situation where Gumming is good. I'm saying in terms of value for an account, there are very, very few accounts where Gumming is, like, actually that valuable. And that's, like, before even looking at all of his gameplay issues that are very, very cringe. Whenever life gets you down, keeps you wearing a frown, and the gravy train has left you behind. And when you're all out of hope, down at the end of your rope, and nobody's there to throw you a line, If you ever get so low that you don't know which way to go, come on and take a walk in my shoes. Never worry about a thing, got the world on a string, 'cause I've got the cure for all of my blues. I take a look at my enormous penis, and my troubles start melting away. I take a look at my enormous penis, and the happy times are coming to stay. I gotta sing and I dance when I glance in my pants, and the feeling's like a sunshiny day. I take a look at my enormous penis, and everything is going my way. Oh, 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 oh. Penis. I take a look at my enormous penis, and my troubles start melting away. I take a look at my enormous penis, and the happy times are coming to stay. Yeah, I go great big amounts in the place where it counts, and the feeling's like a sunshiny day. I take a look at my enormous penis, and everything is going my way. My trouser monster, everything is going my way. My meat is murder, everything is going my way. Size doesn't matter, everything is going my